Hey, what's up, hodlers? Let's talk about what's happening in crypto world today. So you have quite a lot of price action that's happening. Bitcoin for the second time in just a few days broke the 42,000 resistance level and is now nearing 43,000, and Ether pumping as well, closing in on a resistance level of 2,900. So with all of this price action, there's a lot of excitement, especially on Twitter, with the bulls expecting some kind of shift in narrative or shift in momentum to the upside. So you also have Preston Pysh, for example, who's a thought leader in the space, and he posted some technical analysis, which I'm not super into, but it's interesting nevertheless, as it can be some kind of indication for a broader momentum. I don't think it takes into account random events, like, for example, you can have from one day to the next, as we had in May, China deciding to crack down on the mining industry and kick them out of the country, basically, and that's not that's not going to be reflected straight away in this type of technical analysis. But it's interesting nevertheless, as he pointed out, that he's looking here at the so-called moving average convergence and divergence, MACD. And you can see here there's two lines, basically. The blue line is a so-called signal line, which is a more short-term moving average. I think it's 9 days. So it just gives you some kind of indication or feeling for the momentum during those 9 days. It looks at the 9-day moving average. And then the orange line is a longer moving, exponential moving average, actually. So it takes the 26-day and it deducts the 12-day from it. So you get sort of a broader, more long-term indication for momentum as compared to the shorter 9-day so-called signal line. So again, the blue line is the signal line here, and the orange line is the MACD longer-term moving average line. And the argument goes, at least technical analysts will say, that you can see the blue line, it crossed higher than the orange line. So the short-term overtook the long-term, which for technical analysts is an indication that there's a change in the momentum underway to the upside. So that's a bullish signal. And you can see that shortly after they crossed back in February, you had the extended bull run that took us all the way up to the all-time high of, I think, 64,000 at one point. And then you can see here when China banned mining, it crossed again. This time the signal line crossed lower than the longer-term MACD indicator or line, and that coincided with a collapse in prices, as you can see here. And now people are pointing out that for the first time in a few months, the short-term signal line is about to cross over higher again. So you could interpret that along with some other metrics as being bullish. Then you have a lot of positive news coming out of Ethereum as well, of course, with the London hard fork, or EIP 1559 update that went live a little bit behind schedule yesterday morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. So it says, with the upgrade triggered, Ethereum will now undergo a significant overhaul of the network's transaction fee market and other parameters such as gas refunds, among others. So essentially what this update does is it burns some of the gas fees, which made the network really expensive. They do that using Ether tokens, which does two things. It reduces, or is supposed to reduce, the fees on the network, so it makes it easier to scale. And it also takes makes Ether less inflationary, so it goes from 4 to 3% because it's burning some of these Ether tokens, taking them out of circulation, which of course is bullish for the price, as there's a scarcity or a scarcer supply. I think there's also an update coming in December whereby they're going to shift from proof of work, POW, to proof of stake. So that's something people are confident will be bullish for the price as well and are looking forward to. And finally, there was also the story about Steve Cohen. It didn't get a lot of coverage, but I thought it was really interesting. Nevertheless, Steve Cohen, who the show Billions is supposed to be based on, he's got this investment fund called Point72, which I don't know if you remember, but in the GameStop saga, they had a lot of involvement with the Wall Street Bets and Reddit crowd. And I think Steve Cohen and Point72, along with Citadel, were one of the main villains in that story. But interesting, nevertheless, that apparently Steve Cohen's firm Point72, they got into the crypto market as well now. So they've they've invested, or at least Point72's venture arm, as private equity, they invested in a crypto market data and intelligence firm called Messari. Now, I haven't heard of them and I haven't really researched them, but when you talk about crypto market data, I assume they probably do similar stuff to Glassnodes, and it's a really interesting business because with everything being public and being on the blockchain, you have a ton more data, or you have access to a ton more data than you would have in traditional markets, and there's all kinds of players that are trying to make products out of these data and package them and basically sell them to professional money managers and hedge funds and private individuals as well, if they're interested. So that's it for me. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a great weekend and see you next time. Bye bye.